So what I'm going to get started with is what things look like today. So today you're going to have a symbol that looks like that. I should have used my straight lines. That's a little crooked, but you guys get the idea. And when you see something like that, that is called a square root symbol. So square root symbol, next week you'll be doing cube roots, but today we're starting with square roots. So you'll get about half your problems today will look something like this. You'll have that symbol, and then you'll have something like a 25 underneath it. So what that means when you see something like that, it means they're asking you for what number times itself equals 25. If you think you know that, type it into the chat. Type in what you think the square root of 25 is, and then I'll show you guys how to use your calculator to figure it out. Okay, so we got a 5 so far. We got a 5 and a 5 and a 5. 5, excellent. Okay, so that is correct. Those of you that are putting in the chat, I don't need it anymore, thank you. So that is correct. 5 times 5 is 25. So in digits, you wouldn't put 5 times 5. You just put the answer of 5. They want to know what one number times itself equals 25. I'll show you how to do that on the calculator in a minute. So what this really means, it actually is a square. Let me try to make, oh, come on. There we go. Okay, totally crooked. Okay, I'm not making a square. I give up. So if you have, I'll just pretend that this is a nice square that I'm making, because I am aware that I'm having some issues going back and forth between using the line tool and then drawing something actually that's straight. This is a parallelogram, not a square. A square, I hope you know, means it has all equal sides. This one definitely does not. So what it means to have a square root is you're actually physically taking a square, and it has an area of 25, and it wants to know how big each side needs to be in order to have an area of 25. And hopefully you should know that area means multiply the two sides together. So 5 times 5 on each side would give you an area of 25. So let me show you how to use your calculator, and go ahead and follow along with me and go to your backpack. Let me open it up. Uh-oh. Okay, apparently I'm logged out. So I'm just going to type in Desmos, but I actually want the calculator. Desmos calculator. If you click on your green Desmos icon, it takes you to the Desmos calculator. I don't want that, I want that. Okay, so if you did what I asked, you should be looking at something that looks like my screen. The calculator's ready to go. And calculators are different. Some calculators want you to do the square root symbol first. Some of them want you to do it after. I haven't used this calculator in a while, so I'm not sure which one. So I'm just going to go ahead and try the symbol first and then the number. Well, looks like that's how we do it on that calculator. So if you're going to use your Desmos calculator, you just click on the square root symbol, which I'm hovering over with the hand. You type in whatever number you see in digits that's on your problem, and then it gives you the answer right away. You don't even have to hit enter. Some of you may not need a calculator for some of these. If you get 25, I would hope you know the answer is 5. If you get 49, I hope you know the answer is 7. So that's about half of your assignment. Please put in the chat, since I don't feel like going back and forth between stopping sharing, put in the chat if you have a question. You can put it privately or to the whole class. Tell me if you don't understand what I just showed you, or if you have a question about what I just showed you. Otherwise, I'm going to put a problem here and ask that you guys put in the chat what it is. Don't put it right away. I'm going to have everybody use their calculator, and I'm going to use a big number. Maybe somebody already knows the answer without a calculator. So don't put it in the chat yet. Use your calculator, please, and type in square root of 289. And again, don't put it in the chat yet. That kind of ruins it for other people who are trying to figure it out. And you can always put in the chat if you are lost as to where we are. Okay, I've opened up the chat. Please enter what you got on your calculator for the square root of 289. Oh, some of you were just waiting. 17, 17, 17, 17. All right, did anyone not get 17? And you need some help figuring out how other people got 17? Okay, I don't see anyone putting that in the chat. Okay, so I'm gonna clear this. We're gonna do one more, and I'm gonna show you that they don't always come out nice and pretty, and don't expect them to all come out nice and pretty in digits. So I'm gonna give you a much smaller number, but it is not a perfect square. What that means is you can't come up with what number times itself equals this, because it's a decimal. So try that. Don't put it in the chat yet, please. Try that in your Desmos calculator, square root of 6. And I would like you to, because this is what digits usually asks, round to the nearest tenth. Again, don't put it in the chat yet. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, go ahead and put that in the chat if you got it. What do you think square root of 6 is on the calculator? So we got a lot of 2.4s. If you don't know how people rounded to 2.4, put it in the chat and I can explain it if you need it. Okay, so that is again what half of your assignment looks like. So if you're good to go on that, then I'm going to show you how. Let me let someone else in the room. I'm going to show you how to do the other half of the assignment. And then I need to tell Markeith he's in the wrong class. So give me a second. Hi, Markeith. It is 6th period right now, and you're in my 2nd period. So you should go to your 6th period class. Okay, takes care of that. All right, the other half of your problems are going to be equations that look. I'm just going to use the same number that I started with, or that I mentioned already. X squared equals 49. So if you're writing this, I'll give you a little bit of time to write it. X squared equals 49. So it looks different. There is no square root symbol. It's an equation, but it is asking what number times itself is 49. So I already know some of you know that answer, but here's the trick on this one. In math, so we've been working on getting rid of addition by subtracting, getting rid of subtraction by adding, getting rid of multiplication by dividing. We need to get rid of that guy. That is called a square. It's also called to the 2nd power. We can't have that there. We want to know what x is, not x squared. So in math, to get rid of an x squared, we take the square root of each side. So here is the tricky part. If you were to use your calculator, it would give you an answer of 7, and that's totally correct. But if you put that into digits, it will tell you you're wrong. And that is because not only 7 times 7 is 49, but -7 times -7 is also 49. So if you have an equation, digits wants 2 answers. And I'll show you right here. Let me hit next and actually get to one. There's one right there. It will show you, let me make this bigger. It'll show you right here, use a comma. Let me get my pen working. Use a comma to separate answers. So if you're confused about when you need to put 2 answers, look for that. If it says use a comma, it wants 2 answers. If it, oh, can I get that to go away? Yes. Let me move your face. There we go. If it looks like this, which is just square root of 81, notice it does not ask you to use 2 answers. It just says type a whole number. So you would just enter in 9 and move on. So I'm going to show you how to do one that's a little trickier, and then we're done for the day, but you're welcome to stick around and join a breakout group. You are welcome to ask questions if you have questions once everybody leaves. But I'm going to write this down. If you can't see that, here's one that may be tricky for you when you get to it. And it's a fraction. And that's the last thing I'm going to go over. So z squared equals 4 over 49, or 4/49. So I'm going to switch colors to show my work. So we just went over, if you want to get rid of the little 2 or the square, we take the square root. So these 2 cancel out, which was the whole point of doing that. And don't freak out because you see 4 over 49. It's not that big of a deal. You're just doing 2 numbers on your calculator. So the square root of 4, hopefully you know that without a calculator, is 2. And the square root of 49 is 7. But don't forget, if there's an equation, you also have to write the negative version of what I just did. So all I did there was take the square root of each number and just wrote it in the order that I saw it. So the top number, the square root of 4 is 2, so I put it on the top. The bottom, the square root of 49 is 7, so I put it on the bottom. I'll leave that there for another 30 seconds, and then I'll get back to the main room and see if we have any questions.